This is Jill coming to you from the Baker's Green Acres Farmstead Kitchen. Today I am rendering lard. I needed to do some leaf lard. I've got a big pot going here. So I was just going to talk to you a little bit about that. I've got about 16 pounds of fat. This is my double boiler. There's a few things about rendering lard. In essence, what you're trying to do is separate the fat, the protein, and the water. It's a lot of water, a little bit of protein, and a whole lot of fat. This happens to be leaf lard. I'll show you, it's been in here for a while. I've been stirring it. It's kind of just a babysitting thing. You can see how it almost looks like it's boiling. It's not actually boiling. What it's doing is releasing the water. And that comes to the surface. I'm not going to skim that off. I'm just going to let it keep evaporating. I've got the boiler going pretty good. It's kind of dripping all over my stove, but that's okay. And you see the pieces there? When they're done and I stir this, there won't be any bubbles that come up, and all those pieces will settle right to the bottom. They'll be just protein, and it'll have separated so that the protein's on the bottom, then the fat, and all the water will have evaporated out. There's a few ways to do it. This is a double boiler. It works pretty good. Your ideal temperature for rendering is 225 degrees. Just for kicks, I plugged in my thermometer. This is at 203. So I'm not going to get as efficient a render. However, I am a multitasker of necessity as well as temperament, and the double boiler is pretty foolproof. I have managed to boil it dry and then burn it, but most of the time it works out okay for me. I've also done it in my electric skillet, and I like that because I can set the temperature. Once I get it stabilized, off it goes, and I just have to check on it now and then. Also pretty dummy proof, but I do have to watch it a little closer. Like I said, I'm doing about 16 pounds in my double boiler, and this can really only take about 8. So when I'm doing a lot, it's just not efficient. One of my favorites is my wok. When the fellow that I learned from had a big one that's called a Lard Pan. Looks like it, except it's about 3 times as big. So I could fit 16 to 20 pounds in it of raw lard to render down. It makes a really nice heat. You have a very small heating surface and a lot of space for it to evaporate off. Again, you got to babysit it though and watch it so it doesn't get too hot. When fat gets too hot as you're rendering, that's when you get lard that has a porky flavor. It might have some brown color, and it'll smell a little bit of porky. I had someone call, and they had someone else render it for them, and they got it back and said, "Is it supposed to be kind of brown and smell like pork?" And I said, "Oh no, your person ruined it for you, unfortunately, by letting it get too hot." What happens is that the protein reincorporates back into the fat, and you end up with stuff that's not so pleasant for pie crust. This is some of our leaf lard that I did. You can see how white it is. It's been in the freezer, but it's softened up okay. And if you were to smell it, it would just smell nice and clean, right, Frank?
Mm-hmm.
You smell good?
Mm-hmm.
Very good. From our Mangalitsa pigs, this leaf lard is really beautiful. You can whip it up. It gets nice and fluffy. You can add the little salt and garlic to it and spread it on bread. It's very good. I did another video where I did an experiment and made frosting out of it instead of using shortening like Crisco. We also used it in cookies and pie crust and biscuits, and it's fabulous. The leaf lard comes from the internal fat of the pig. It's around the kidney. Sometimes it's called kidney fat. It's much drier and cleaner. The back fat comes off of the back of the pig, over the top of the pork chops. It also is a nice fat. It's not quite as clean and light and dry as the leaf lard, So it doesn't have that same quality where you can whip it up and do different things, special things like that with it. But it's beautiful for frying. The kids love it when we make donuts or chicken nuggets, homemade chicken nuggets with a chicken breast or tenderloins, and fry it up in fat. It's really, really good. You can bake with the back fat too. If you're going to do fine pastries, the leaf lard is preferable, but they work either way. Some people, when they're rendering at home, just throw them all in the pot together, and that's fine, and it works great. So, we're going to give this one more stir. So, roughly 225 degrees, or if you want to be foolproof, my double boiler, even though it's cooler, works fine. You want to watch that it separates out good. Anytime you can get a surround heat, that helps with your rendering. So that's where the double boiler works. The electric skillet works. Some people do it in the oven. So again, you've got the surround heat, and you can set your temperature, and off it goes. Crock pots work well. Lots of different ways to use the same principles to get it done. So that's fat rendering in the Farmstead Kitchen.